people and wondering why you ain't happy. Get unhappy people out your space. They've been lost in the same place for 40. After 40 years, you would think I would know I'm in the same place. Repeating the same mistake. Going in the same wrong direction for 40 years. For 40 years, they made the same mistake over and over. And finally, after 40 years, God says, don't you get it? Well, won't you just turn north? In other words, why don't you make a move in a different direction? Why don't you, instead of going around, why don't you start going up? Why don't you turn up instead of just turning around? Turning up may give you some different results than just turning around like you've always done. Turning north may take you someplace you've never been before, because turning around just gave you another day in the same place. And just like Israel, just like God said to Israel, God is saying the same thing to many of us. He's saying, why don't you just turn north? Turn from what you've been doing and turn to what you really want. Turn from what you settled for and turn to what God has for you. Turn from what's frustrated you and turn to what you've been fighting for. Turn from where you've always been and from what you've always been and into what you would have never been except the Lord stepped in. Can I thank God right now that He turned my life around? Can I get some folk who need to thank God right now that He'll turn your, no, I said, can I get some folk in here who need to thank God right now that He'll turn your, okay, say, neighbor, I thank God for a turnaround. I thank God He gave us a chance to turn. I got a chance to turn. If my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face, here it is, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin. In other words, if I turn, God said, I'll make a way. If you turn, I'll fight your enemies. If you turn, I'll give you the job. If you turn, I'll get your money right. If you turn, I'll get your house right. If you turn, I'll fix your problems. If you turn, I'll flip the script. If you turn, I'll make a way out of nowhere. Or there's some folk who need to thank God for a turnaround. If I'm talking to you, high five yourself, say, baby, I thank God for a Let me help you. He says, gotta understand, you're just one turn away. You got to get this thing. Somebody got to get this thing. If you got to say, baby, I'm just one turn away. Okay, now I know who got to see, when you know you just one turn away, you ain't going to let nothing, you ain't going to let nobody keep you from, if I got to fight through mountains, climb the rough side of the mountain, if I got to go by myself, I'm too close to give up now. I've come too far. Tells them you're just one turn away. This text teaches us, Bernice, that if we are going to do something different, we're going to follow God, be more obedient to His promises for us. If we are going to possess what God has for us, check this out. He says we must never stay where we shouldn't have stopped. Look your neighbor and say, don't stop. I'm going to show you. When God tells Israel this, it all ties together. He says, don't linger in a place. Oh, God, morning, so you got to get this. That's just supposed to be a bridge to where you are going, and end up making it an extended layover. Say, neighbor, we've been here too long. You ain't get it, did you? Too often, we end up stuck in places with people, and in situations that we were supposed to pass through on our way to God's promise. Say, neighbor, I got to pass through. Okay, let me show it to you. You don't think it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. Verse 4. Message translation puts it this way. The text says, you are about to cut through the land belonging to your relatives, the people of Esau who settled in Seir. They are terrified of you, but restrain yourselves. Don't try and take what's not for you. Just because you're smarter than they are, don't settle for what they have. As a matter of fact, if you try, I'm not going to give you a square inch of their land. Don't even act like you want it, because that's not what I want you to have. I'm going to lose it. Say, neighbor, that ain't it. Say, this ain't it. You got to preach it. You got to get, this is so significant. And I need you to make sure you get this, because what God tells the children of Israel is that you are to cut through. NIV says, pass through the land of Seir. You are not to stop there, just pass through. Okay, let me get it where you can catch it. Say, neighbor, we